feeling like you just weren't really getting anywhere. Like you're just on a treadmill, just going like a rat on a wheel, mate, and making good money. And seemed to be the more money you made, just the more money kept going out the door, even compared to what was coming in. And I was wanting to get into it, but scared because I didn't have any real knowledge and understanding around it. So that pushed me down the road to really go and start digging in and trying to understand what the bloody hell's going on, how money works, and how the system is that's been built around us and what it does to us.
Folks, here we are again, another show of Scale to Freedom, and I have got a true blue Aussie genius here, a guy I met back in July 2025 at an event here in Thailand. We got on like a house on fire. Me and his Mrs. Evie and Bully had breakfast together. I'll never forget those conversations. But Bully, great to have you here at the Scale to Freedom, mate.
Thanks, Cal. Bloody good to be on here today, Cover.
Yeah,
See your happy smiling face, mate.
yeah, it's all good. And folks, this guy, as I said, he's Aussie through and through, and but he's got an absolute cracker story. And we're just going to get straight at it. Rod, mate, we've known each other a little while, but you're coming to here on this show as somebody who you would actually say you haven't made it yet, but you're in there going for it. And you're on a bit of a pathway to transition from working in a job to building this business. So tell us just a little bit more about that. What is it that you're building in real time as opposed to the job that you've got going at the moment?
Yep, for sure. Got myself my own podcast going these days, mate, and that's kicking along nicely. And it's been a good learning curve in itself, and getting to meet some fantastic people, mate, and learning a lot from the people as well that I'm getting to talk to, and creating a network out of that, getting to network with them people, and it's leading to some very interesting places and developments. Outside of that, currently me and Evie are building Rebel Edge, which is a business along the lines of financial and wealth education, and building courses throughout that online educational business to be able to help teach people what I've learned and what I will continue to learn to be able to help people do the right thing by themselves and by the money that they work so hard for, mate.
Yeah. So you're currently still in a job, so to speak. What is it that woke you up to that? We hear about it in Australia and a lot of places around the world. You go off, get an education, get a job, work your freckle off for the next 40 years, get a mortgage, et cetera, et cetera. What was it that woke you up that this traditional path wasn't leading you to a place of real freedom?
Yeah, Cal, it was probably a slow process for me. Never been a fast learner, honestly. But anyway, that's the way it goes. Hey, I think that's a male thing, like we were just talking about before we started recording. But it was a process over time, mate. Of watching my parents work and grandparents work so hard, and then getting into the working life myself and working my way up through the ladder and getting more skills and making better and better money, and feeling like you just weren't really getting anywhere. Like you're just on a treadmill, just going like a rat on a wheel, mate, going nowhere, and making good money. And seemed to be the more money you made, just the more money kept going out the door, even compared to what was coming in. I think for me, in some ways, prior to COVID, had a bit of a wake up call, and working with some interesting people that were well versed around money and finances and investing that I worked with in the mining game. It always made me curious, and I was wanting to get into it, but scared because I didn't have any real knowledge and understanding around it other than what them people were sharing with me. And then other than that, mate, COVID, like I think for a lot of people, was a big eye opener. So that pushed me down the road to really go and start digging in and trying to understand what the bloody hell's going on and just how money works, mate, and how the system is that's been built around us and what it does to us.
Yeah. And it is. And you alluded to it there, so that in one of your previous comments, that you've saw the light's gone on, there's a different way or a better way to do it. And you've sought out a group of experts. You've been mentored from them and they've been showing you some big truths. What are some of that as standouts? What are the things that you've actually gleaned from these experts that's still a work in progress, I understand? But what have you learned so far? What are maybe some of the two or three things that you've learned in that journey that you'd like to share with the people today?
Probably quite a few of them actually, Kel, but we'll just rattle off a couple of easy ones and the real hard home hitters for me. The biggest one that I come to learn and understand, mate, that what we all believe and class to be money isn't money, and that's currency, mate. And currency is not money. It's something that is controlled and given by decree by the government to have value, and it's something that between governments and central banks they have control over printing more and more of it every day. So as far as fiat currency goes, being money, and that's what we've all been led to believe is money, and we function with as money. It's not, mate. It's just a melting ice cube because the more they print, more inflation you get, the more it depreciates your purchasing power off of that currency. So outside of that, what I've become to know and understand through the people I've learnt from over the years and through my own studies, proven beyond a doubt that the only true money is gold and silver, mate. That Mr. J.P. Morgan himself, mate, even made the statement many, many moons ago that gold is the only true money and everything else is credit.
Yeah.
And so as far as saving, people are getting it wrong, mate, how they're going about saving, and we're all led down that garden path to go to school, get good grades, get a good job, make as much money as you can, save hard. But saving in the wrong way is just so detrimental to your long-term benefit and outcome, mate.
Yeah.
It's just terrible.
It is. And with inflation and different things, unless you're earning more than the rate of increase, you're losing. In actual fact, you're losing. So even if you just go up by CPI every year and you get that little bit of an increase, you're still going backwards, unless you're leveraging.
Out of sight, man. The CPI, I refer to it myself more like the CP lie, honestly, because the figures are well massaged. And as anybody that's been in this world any length of time, you should have worked out by now that our government really struggles to tell us the truth about anything. So, and that applies to all governments all around the world. Doesn't matter where you go. And so, yeah, you're dead right, mate. If you're saving in money, you're just a loser. You really are. You're going backwards out of sight because even if you believe the figures in CPI and they're saying between 2 and 3%, it's not, mate. On average, they print between 6 and 8% more money every year. So, and then inflation in your cost of living on top of that is stealing even more away from you, so you're just going backwards out of sight.
Yeah, and look, even just these recent events, so we've had these, like, just as one example, to see where that lie really sits, and the oil prices, like, they went up by more than 3%, in a month.
Yeah.
They went up by 30, 40, 50% a month, and they're not going to come back down. If you have a close look at those, they're not going to come back down. And when QE of what they were pre that problem, there's so many things out there in our situation now, in our current currencies, as you said, and in the way in which people are talking about investments. There is so many things. So a lot of people earn good money, but they still feel stuck. What do you see as the biggest trap keeping most from actually scaling up towards this idea of being free?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you now, I've lived it, and a lot of people I know have lived it and still living it, mate. And debt, for one, bad debt, more to the point, is probably your biggest hindrance, one of your biggest pull downs in your life, and in regards to the way the system works. But you've got to come to understand that our system is a debt-based fiat currency system. So debt actually is money, and money is debt. But if you're using the wrong kind of debt, it's going to absolutely cruel you big time. And another big one on top of that would be taxes, mate. Probably our biggest cost in life is taxes. So you either need to be prepared to do the hard work to educate yourself around taxes and how to build yourself a really good tax strategy mitigation plan, or be prepared to pay the money to somebody else who is expert at it.
Yeah, perfect. Mate, folks, if you're just tuning in, please go back, have a re-record and listen to this again over and over. What Bully here is saying, Rodney Bull, is talked about a blueprint that is going to create real freedom. And the fact that we are not being told the true power of money, and that we're actually now exploring this idea of how do we go from paycheck, instead of having just that thing that really is weighing us down, to a sense of power. And mate, I'm loving this step by step that you're taking us through of your own experiences, being in that situation of being in a job, a good paying job, but still feeling stuck. And that's what we're talking about. So, mate, again, thanks for really starting to help us explore. So let's take this a little bit deeper, eh? What does scaling to freedom actually look like for you personally right now? And what are you actively building or changing, more importantly, in your life to create that sense of freedom once we've got this understanding of the lies that we're being told?
Yeah, no worries, Cal. For me right now, mate, it's about building foundations for sure, and getting control of my cash flow and reducing bad debt, building my knowledge around money and debt and taxes and how the system actually works, the banking system, the financial system, the government and politics. It's all goes hand in hand, mate, and trying to work out the systems that you need to build to be able to put all them pieces of the puzzle together to be able to get them to work for you, instead of working against you. Assets is a huge one, mate. Like, you need to learn what assets are. Like, famous saying of Robert Kiyosaki's, like, the rich don't work for money, they work for assets and cash flow and assets. And they utilize a lot of debt, but they utilize good debt. And you got to get to understand what the difference is between good and bad debt. But assets is key, and how you save and preserve your purchasing power of your hard earned wealth that you grow and build over time. And for me, I keep mine in gold and silver, mate. That's how I save. I've proved it to myself over a number of years now just how good of a vehicle it is for saving and for preserving your purchasing power of your hard earned blood, sweat, and tears that you put into to building the wealth that you create, mate.
Yeah. And you talk about the lie. Yeah. If we're talking about currencies, now it doesn't matter what country you live in, and people listening to this podcast are all over the world. Your governments are, yeah, they're printing cash. Yeah. That's one of the problems that the bully's talking to us about today. They're printing cash, and the CPIs are just, yeah, not real. But the real asset is in something that's tangibly going up. And if you just do your research, real simple research, gold, silver, and a lot of people went off into the whole cryptocurrency place, and we've seen that here fall apart in the last couple of months. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing overall, but that you just got to look at what is performing year upon year upon year for
Yep.
solid asset creation. And bricks and mortar in the right spot is still, one of those things.
Oh, real estate for sure, Kel. Real estate for sure.
Yeah. So it's a big one. You just got to look at what are the assets. Mate, loving this. So if somebody's listening, were here a few years ago, working hard, not getting ahead. What were the first practical steps that you would say to start to create this freedom you're talking about?
Go and get yourself education that you need first and foremost, mate. Like, that's been my biggest learning, like our so-called education system that we all went through as kids and went to school. It's not an education system by any means at all. It's massive failure. It really is. So you got to go and self-educate yourself and go and find the people out there who have been there and done it before you, mate, and who have the runs on the board, and glean from them what you everything that you possibly can, mate, and then start putting it into practice, because you can have all the knowledge in the world, Kel, but if you don't start putting it into action, it's really not worth anything to you. But
Yeah.
so go and get that education. Go and find them people out there, them real true teachers. And to me, true teachers are people that have done it and are doing it. And you yourself, Kel, I find you as a mentor for myself in life today, mate. And so I find you to be a true teacher, and many people like yourself who are doing it, and you can learn from them.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the key things is not everybody who has got the expertise they can share with you, that they haven't got it all right all the time. They've made mistakes, and
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
and I know myself, I've made plenty of mistakes in this area, overspent in the wrong spot, or no, just overspent and had too good a time before I actually could afford it. So our cash flow gets killed. And there are mistakes to be made. All right. And the idea is probably to try and minimize the mistakes by getting the right experts in your life who have already been there and done that and come out the other side and making a difference. So appreciate those comments there, buddy. And it's been great to see yourself as well to go through this change. And I guess just to give us a bit of a sum up, so you're still, you're still working in your job. We said just before this recording, you're 21 anymore. All right. Well, none of us are getting any younger. And
No, that's for sure.
and so we're going to make a start. I guess I just want to ask the question again. If somebody is listening and they know what is that one thing, all right, so getting the education was what you said. What would be the next thing that you would say would be the ideal next step?
Start putting it in implementing that knowledge, mate, for sure. For me, probably one of my biggest things was discovering the difference between what money really is, the difference between currency and money, and what real money does for you. So in regards to saving, I built myself a wonderful little nest egg and security insurance plan through that. And so that puts you at peace of mind and gives you a good backstop behind you to build off of, and you can go forward from there and then start pursuing other forms of assets that will build cash flow for you. So then you can keep putting that away into your next egg that preserves your purchasing power, mate.
Yeah, it's exactly what it's about, folks. So the blueprint that Bully's really talked about is do your education, find out the real truth about what a good asset is, good debt is compared to bad debt. It's the blueprint that Bully has given us here, folks, that really will make a difference. So if you haven't picked them up, there is a bunch of little steps, little gold nuggets all the way through here, and probably a couple of silver nuggets as well. All right, just to be if we talk about it. So he's very heavy on the gold and silver property assets. Just go back and have another listen. Bully, if somebody wants to get in contact with you, learn a little bit more about what you're doing and how you're doing it, how do they get in contact, mate?
Probably best place, mate, would be info at the rodneybullshow.com, mate.
Yeah.
You can find me on Spotify and YouTube as well. So
yeah, he has got an absolute cracker. He's only been going for a couple of months now in his own podcast, really getting down to the tin tacks, to the honest, real gut truth of what money and wealth is about and how to create some freedom in your own life. Bully, been an absolute pleasure having you here on the show, buddy.
Awesome, Cal. Thanks for the time today, mate. It's been a real pleasure for me too.
Yeah, mate, it was always good. Folks, that's the end of another Scale to Freedom episode, and we are here just to help people to grow and to scale and to find the freedom that you're looking for. Today, we've actually heard one of the wealth creators of the world who is really starting to make a name for himself, Rodney Bull. Get on the Rodney Bull Show, and he will make a bit of a difference in your life. Until next time, please make sure you like and share and get this across to as many people as possible. Bye for now.
Thanks, Cal. Keep on stacking.